Oopsie, I was muted for a minute. Greetings and welcome to Unplugged. Unplugged is a free-to-air program curated specially by Julia Jacks Consulting to inspire, to inform, to celebrate, and support different types of focused business, growing businesses that are on their way to success, So my name is Julia Okujaks, and it's a pleasure to be with you again. I'd like to apologize for last week when I couldn't be with you. I had a toothache, and if you've ever had toothache, you'll know what I mean. Right? It's excruciatingly painful. So I could barely talk, And then I also, to compound the matter, I had a gum boil. I still have that gum boil, but that's too much information for you. But I can smile around it now. But last week I couldn't even act my way around it. And speaking about acting, that's what we're going to do today. That's what we're going to be talking about on Unplugged. We're still on a creative industries conversation, and we'll be talking about lights, camera, action. Now, this is part of the action, the acting part of it. So we've established that Africans are natural storytellers. We zigzag our way through stories, we make it exciting, we embellish. But actually, I know for a fact that people tend to learn and retain knowledge better when you tell them things in a storytelling format. Skillful storytelling has a place. And in each story, each great story, there is a cast. The people who play one role, different roles, and then how do they do these things? How do people inhabit the roles that they are given? How do they interpret these roles so well that we absolutely love them, or we hate them, or we are indifferent towards them? How do we get to a point where a character in a TV series or in a movie becomes like our best friend? How we do that? I mean, when we were talking to Chris O'Day, I told him that Mr. Kenneth Okonkwo, I'd see him and I think of him as Andy Okeke. That's how well he inhabited the first iteration of Living in Bondage. So this is where the entire craft of acting comes in. And to share her thoughts with us today is an actor, Elma Mbadiwe Aloko. So please welcome with me, Elma Mbadiwe Aloko. And as she joins us, I'll tell you a little bit about her. Okay, I think she's off for now, but I'll tell you a little bit about her. I'm sure she's okay. She's back here. Okay, fantastic. So while Elma is joining us, I'll tell you a little bit more about her. Elma started her acting career as a child actor with the renowned Amaka Igwe, and she has since made a name for herself in the ever-developing Nigerian film industry. Welcome, Elma. Nice to have you with us today. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning. We're just spilling some tea about you, telling people about you.
Okay.
So Elma, as you can see, that's Elma. She started off with as a child actor with the late but great Amaka Igwe, and has since made a name for herself in the ever-developing Nigerian film industry. She rose to fame in the movie Unbroken, and if you haven't watched it, go watch it. Go look for it and watch it, And she's gone on to star in some amazing movies like Spike, like Rattlesnake, Bridges, and Blast, among many others. I'm sure she'll share the rest with us. And recently, she starred in Netflix's first Nigerian young adult show, Far From Home, where she plays the warm and sometimes misunderstood Carmen. She'll tell us about that, as well. Elma is a mass communications graduate, and she's an alumna of the Royal Arts Academy. and she's starred in Employee of the Month, and Employee of the Month was a short film that was premiered in the United States of America at the Rhode Island Film Festival. Am I correct? Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay. And then one fun fact about Elma is that she speaks 3 Nigerian languages and spends a lot of her time offset writing and painting. May I ask which 3 Nigerian languages those are? Just out of curiosity.
Okay, so in my opinion, Pidgin is a Nigerian language.
Oh,
and my Pidgin is
no,
flawless. So Pidgin, Igbo, and Yoruba. To be very honest, my Pidgin is flawless and I brag about it. So yes, 3 Nigerian awesome languages.
Well, I agree with you because my Pidgin is awful. I start off in Pidgin and I was like, oh no, I can't do this.
I totally understand that.
Yeah. So Elma, did you always want to act? Were there other things you wanted to do?
I think I've always been able to be different persons at the same time.
Oh, please forgive me.
And even,
I was informed that I have to record, so forgive me while I record.
Okay, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Got it. Yeah. So I've always been able to be different persons at a very young age. And then weirdly, I grew up watching Nneka the Pretty Serpent, Isakaba, and not cartoons. So I never really understood. I still don't understand cartoons till today. But I would always recreate what I could see in the movies. And my mom was like, So she sees an audition one day and she's like, I think you would actually kill this. Do you want to go for it? I'm like, yeah. And I was like 7. And that was my first audition with Amaka Igwe. And I got the role and it had always just been it ever since. There was nothing else I pictured myself doing. So
wow.
I guess you can say
7.
that.
7. I think in the US they would have probably been, what do they call them? Is it Mouseketeers? Those ones that join the Disney family.
Yeah, really early.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, I think they call them Mouseketeers or something like that. Yeah. Well, so you started exploring this at 7 now. This is a conversation I've had with almost all my guests on Unplugged.
Mm-hmm.
I know your parents supported you, but did they also want you to do something else in addition to being an actor?
My dad caught up really late. So he always wanted me to be a lawyer or a journalist. The acting thing, he accepted it when he realized he did not have a choice. And that was well into my adulthood.
Okay.
So yes, I think he would have preferred a lawyer or a journalist,
But he's happy with you now.
Oh yeah, he's my biggest fan, to be honest.
Fantastic.
He's really supportive.
Fantastic. So a school of thought has it that you're born with the talent of acting. Some other people say you can learn it along the way. But we feel that we may be right. I don't know which school you belong to, but we feel that acting is a craft that requires skill, dedication, training, retraining. Where do you stand in this conversation and how do you develop and fine-tune your acting skills?
Okay. So first I would say that, yes, some people are born with talent, but I find that the most interesting actors are the ones who are intelligent. Anybody has talent. The average Agbero on the road is being dramatic.
Very.
And in some films, that would make for great content. However, intelligence is where I find that a lot of people might be lacking, because you have to be able to understand. You have to be able to be able to improvise. You have to be on your toes. You have to be witty, especially with comedy. I find that comedy, you need to be very smart, because comedic timing is there. If you miss it, the joke is not going to be funny. And as an actor, you have to have knowledge on so many things. You can be a doctor today. You have to have basic knowledge of what some things mean, as a nurse, as a lawyer, as a mad person, as someone with a mental problem. So intelligence for me is very key. And it's also very important to get training, because there's so many things you think you know that you actually don't know. Do you understand? So I studied mass comm for 4 years, but until I went to film school, and in university, I did some theater courses. But until I went to film school, there were so many things that I would not have known if I wasn't in that gathering of, film buddies and intellectuals who actually had studied film. Because I didn't study film, I just, dabbled as a hobby. So I think training is very important. Self-development as well will also help you, because acting as a craft is not just about the skill. There's the interpersonal relationship, there's the intrapersonal relationship, there's also you being in control of your mind, your soul, and your body, your voice, because all of these things are what will make a wholesome actor. Because we act with our bodies, we act with our voice, we act with our minds, and you have to be able to collect yourself back. So I'll give an example. In Far From Home, I had this gigantic scar on my knee. And it took me to a place of self-reflection, because I hated it. Carmen, as the character, hated the scar. But Elma as well, the actor, did hate the scar, because every time I would look down, my unconscious self would be like, oh my God, what's that on my leg? And that brought me to a point of, I might have a little vanity going on there. I understand that my body, my skin is, part of what I sell as an actor. But if I did have that scar, how would I react to it? How would I come out of that, bondage of having a scar? So you have to, being in control of your mind is almost as important as everything else, just as in everyday life. I hope I've answered your question.
You have, but you've now raised another question, because I like what you say about intelligence acting. I like what you say about intelligence acting, and the fact that you really have to be knowledgeable about a lot of things. But also you raised this issue that a lot of people talk about, which is the mental health issue, and getting yourself back from a role. I want to recall, I think it was called $1 Million Baby. No, it was this lady. She won an Oscar for. She was like a boxer, and then she was ill. I can't remember who her trainer was. I can't remember if it was Clint Eastwood or one of those other greats. I think, was it called $1 Million Baby? I think so. I forget the name. Do you know the movie I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
So I was just wondering, how do you play that kind of role? I mean, you have to buff up to learn how to be a boxer, go through all that grittiness, and then also go through the grittiness of ill health. How do you cope? Is there a coping mechanism, personally or professionally, within the group, or within the industry? People who understand what actors have to, because you have to inhabit different roles, different personalities. You have to live those personalities. How is there anything for people to like you said, bring yourself, collect yourself back, bring yourself back to yourself? Yes.
I would say that it's a
Hillary something is
personal.
her name. Hillary. Oh my goodness, I forgot. It's coming back. Okay, I won't interrupt you. Sorry.
I would say that it's a personal journey for every actor. I've always considered myself to be very strong mentally. You asked me why I don't do a lot of social media. That's exactly why I don't do a lot of social media, because it's toxic. A lot of it is toxic, and you don't need to put most of that stuff into your subconscious, because that rules your physical, in my opinion. So every actor probably has their own way of coming back after a character. But mine is actually very simple. I just go back to my roots. I just go back home. My family is a very close-knit family. Luckily for me, my husband is almost like my therapist. So he gives me my reality check at every point that I need it. So I cannot dwell on being this person for so long. So with Far From Home and Carmen, I had to practice not being attractive for a period of time. And I'm still on that journey. So I'm not going to fix my nails anymore. I'm just going on my natural hair. I'm just trying to be as plain Jane as possible, because beauty is not everything. Beauty is only 1% of a human's life. And if something on my body affects me that much, then there's something I need to do up here. So I'm just trying my best to find the beauty in other things in life. So I paint, I play with children, I play with animals, because life is so beautiful, but we often forget that. So that's my own process. And if I still need some normalcy, I go to my mom's house and I wash plates and I go to the market for her and I do all sorts, because my mother does not care that you're a Far From Home star. She's still going to come. I feel like eating this one, go and cook it for me. And that brings me back. I just tend to forget everything about lights, camera, and action. And I'm a normal human being again. So every actor has, their own process. And it'd be nice to actually hear from them. You never know.
Really would be. It really would be, because some of the things we read about on mostly Hollywood and maybe some Nollywood, it just makes you think, I think what did Scarface say? Scarface said, he said, don't get high on your supply. I always remember that. Don't believe what they're saying about you. Don't get high on it, And I just think, did they get high on their supply? Did they believe what people are saying about them?
A bunch of people. You'll be surprised. It's actually a pandemic right now. Wow. That's why social media might be a problem. Because if you live for the accolades of the general public, you will die from their rejection of you. That's what I believe. So just do your work, make sure you're doing the right thing, and then leave everything else. You really can't please the world. You're not jollof rice. So I don't even like jollof rice. So
like I tell people the same thing. I said, you can't please everybody. You're not ice cream. Then I tell them I'm lactose intolerant, so ice cream doesn't even please me. So
you see. Yeah, so.
But I like what you said. You said don't live for the accolades, because then you'll die when people yeah. That's very important. And I believe what we've been talking about so far is something that would cut across any industry, people who do well in any industry. Once people start calling you, there's this thing they call you, yeah, mama, oh, yes, this, yeah, that, and you think that you're all that, you have 1 million, 10 million, 5 million followers, 100 or something. I'm sure Christiana, I think he has the highest number of followers.
Oh, yes. He does.
There's so many people who follow him and they're crazy about him. What will he do when the ovation is over? Because the ovation will have to be over one day.
At some point,
yes. CR7 anymore. So that's a very, in fact, I would say that's a big nugget I'm taking out from that. Don't live for the accolades, because you may die from the rejection.
Die from the rejection, yes.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. It's a real reality check. So talk to us about your first and maybe your second time on a film set. How did it feel before, during? What did you learn about yourself?
Second time is hard to. Okay, I'm just going to talk about second time filming as an adult on an actual film set, because I did some theater work in school. Second time, I was very nervous. I still get nervous every now and then when I have a very challenging character in front of me. However, the nervousness was from not being sure that I was doing the right thing.
Mhm.
So now I'm sure that I know what I'm supposed to do. However, I just find it challenging. So that's the process of my growth. I went from, oh my God, am I doing the right thing? What am I supposed to do? Oh my God, to wow, this is challenging, but I can do it. So my second time on set was, I would not say it was the best experience, to be honest, but luckily for me, I had a very good team. It was for an African Magic original back in the day. I think that was 2015 or something. It was not great. It wasn't great. I don't want to recreate, I don't want to reenact those scenes. And when I watch it now, I actually cringe because I'm like, oh my God, why didn't you do this here? Why didn't you do that here? Every actor still does that. Trust me, with my best work, I can pick out something I should have done differently. But I'm happy that I went through that because now I know what it feels like and I know I can be better. I know that in the next 10 years, I'll be way better than I am right now. So it just helps me accept the times of my, little beginnings, and I'm fine with it.
That's I still get nervous. No matter how many times I do this, I still get nervous, and this is how I take it. I take that energy because I'm a big energy person. I'm a big energy.
Yeah.
Person, and the nerves helped me say, okay, what do I need to do not to be nervous? The nerves actually help ground me, so I do my homework. That's why I say I'm not looking for you on social media. I do my homework. I don't take things for granted. I want to get a sense of the person. You won't know everything, but it's better than taking things for granted. So I think nerves are good. Nerves are good unless it turns you into a babbling mess. You can't do anything.
Well, actually, I think I attended a masterclass sometime. I don't recall who exactly said it, but she said something about turning your nerves into adrenaline for the performance. And that actually struck me because it works. So first things first, why are you nervous? You've done this so many times before. Second of all, can you channel that nervousness into being productive? And I try to do that, and I find that, wow, this is magic. So I guess we can all, take something from that.
Yes, we can. We can. It's so sad that Amaka Igwe is not here anymore. But what was it like working with her? We really enjoyed her body of work. Really enjoyed it.
It was just fantastic. And I was a child. However, I always looked at her as an enigma. She was always something, she was just this big, fascinating personality, and the fact that she was my link to meeting a bunch of other superstars at that time, I just have never been able to forget her. She was amazing. She was, she was very teachable. What I remember, she was very teachable. She was kind. It was great because she would leave. My mom would drop me there and go home, and I never felt weird. There was no point in time when I felt like, oh my God, I want to go home. So that's a reflection of her and the kind of people that she surrounds herself with. And I was a big watcher of her work. So I knew everything there was to know about her. I think it was great. I really wish we still had her around, but God knows best.
Yes. Well, a lot of us were devastated. I'm sure she had no idea how much she was loved and admired. And I'm sure she had no idea how Nollywood would turn around to be. She had no idea. But we are talking about her today, and we can't talk about her in Nigeria,
without her,
in Africa without her. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, going from your first film, let's look at some of your more recent projects. Far From Home, The Log Line. Let's say you inhabit a character, you have to communicate something. What did you hope to convey? What messages? What do you want us to learn from these characters that you portrayed? First of all, why did you want to be a part of those projects?
I'm going to talk about Logline.
Okay.
Because I think I've even spoken too much on Far From Home, but let me talk about Logline. Logline was produced by my friend, my family, basically, Ibrahim Suleiman and his wife, Linda Ejiofor Suleiman. And they just were like, sis, we have something we want to do. I'm like, guys, whatever, because they're my family members. There's some people in Nollywood that I can't say no to, unfortunately. So even if you call me to come and cough on your production, I will cough with all of my might.
Thank you.
And I will go home and sleep peacefully. So Ibrahim and Linda are one of those people. But when I read the story, I actually really liked it. And I've had a problem with filming, with acting characters that are basic, pretty girl, girl next door, lover girl. I think I started off my career doing those, and I wanted more.
Okay.
I wanted more so much. So this actually started with me taking a job called Worlds Apart, and the character was a keke driver. And I had to learn how to ride a keke for about 2 weeks. Luckily for me, I found a woman who rode a keke commercially, for her earnings. And we became friends. And I just got to understand what it was like, because riding a keke or being a bus driver is a male-dominated industry in Nigeria.
Very much
Only
so.
until recently did we start seeing women who did it. So I was actually challenged, and she only spoke Pidgin and Igbo language, which was something I'd never done. I speak Igbo, I speak casual Pidgin here and there, you are used to. But I had to. It just dawned on me that, come, Elma, you can do anything you put your mind to. Because I took that script, and I dare say that I killed it. So when I got Logline, there was a character in Logline called Nkasi. She was relatively close to the one I did in World Apart, because she was a sales girl. She spoke only Pidgin. She didn't really have formal education. And she was a very good friend. So that's the catch in the story. Nkasi and the main character had such an amazing friendship. She was always there for her. She was always ready to fight for her. And I'm like, I want young people to watch this and take something out of it. Because I don't think being a mean girl is trendy anymore. You can be a mean girl if you're trying to portray something.
Yeah.
However, being a mean girl isn't trendy anymore. We need to start talking about good friendships, good governance, good marriages, good relationships.
Yeah.
So that was really it for me in Logline. I really liked it. And you can relate that to Carmen as well. Carmen was a good friend. Regardless of whatever happened with her and her best friend sleeping with her boyfriend, she still fought for her. So I think I'm beginning to champion sisterhoods. And that's a very good, that's very good.
Yes. I mean, too many times we put on the TV and or even movies, and what we see are women stabbing other women in the back. I mean, the biggest stereotype has been that of the evil mother-in-law, and the sisters-in-law. I mean, I know every stereotype has its roots in reality of some sort, but I mean, not all. Is your mother-in-law awful?
No, she's an angel. So I really can't relate.
And I was talking to someone who said that probably that's what people want, that people don't want to come and see, how would I call it now? Come and see something like this, because they want to, how would I call it now? De-stress. They want entertainment, de-stress. They want just a break from reality. So, yeah, okay, let's look at that evil mother-in-law. And permit me to mention her name, like Patience Ozokwo. She's the evil one. We all hate her and everything. But I haven't met her, but I'm sure she is a very sweet human being. I'm sure she is.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I read something about, we used to call her Tony Tomato, but I know she has a better name. She was in King of the Boys. Yes. And someone said that she is the sweetest person to have on side, you know.
Wow.
But I'm now going to speak about the role of the media in how do I call it? Championing and compounding these stereotypes. Because I like the fact that you're looking at she for she. We need more of that. I mean, I attended something, a radio program about it's National Women's Day, and they said, do you think they say women hate each other and everything, they don't support each other? I said, no. Where I am today, a lot of the people who have helped me have been women. A lot of the people who have actually bowed down and told me, step on my shoulders, or, oh, there's an opening somewhere, Julia, I think this is for you, you know. But we don't share that narrative. What do you think you can do on your own? I know you're an actor, but you're also a writer. Are you writing for film or are you writing for yourself?
I write whatever comes to me.
Okay.
I write fiction, poetry, articles, just whatever, really. But I'm not ready to share with the world yet.
Okay. Well, what do you think about the role of the media in either compounding or working against those stereotypes?
I believe that we got addicted to these toxic dramas because that was all we had at the time. So looking back at Nollywood, it was the campus mean girls, or the evil stepmother, or sisters who just hated themselves. I remember that one so vividly, Blood Sisters. And it did not make any sense, because why is somebody just so vile? While I understand that there are people who are vile like that, we don't have to feed it to our children. We don't have to, always, that was all there was at the time. There was no lovey-dovey relationship. So right now, I'm not saying that I would not take the character of a mean girl or a wicked person. I will, obviously. But I want to be sure that there's a message behind that character, that people actually look at it and be like, I don't want to be this girl. There has to be a message at the end of it. And I think that we can still have drama with decent people in it.
Yeah.
And then it's usually not.
It's good to know the world is not just black and white. Yeah.
It's not always black and white. There are so many gray areas. So a kidnapper, for example, can have a loving family.
Sure.
So our villains are always one-sided. They are just horrible people.
Yes.
But I want to state this movie as an example. King of Boys, Shola Shobowale. She was a villain. But she had her sweet spots. She had things that she would die fighting for. And that sums up a human being. While I'm a villain in a lot of people's stories, I'm a hero in some others. And that's just how life works. You have children that you would die for. You have things that you're very passionate about. But you have things that will also piss you the hell off. Excuse my French. So we need to start building more rounded characters so it looks realistic. So a girl can come in, for example, a girl can look at her and be like, oh, this is her good part, and this is where she, defaulted, which is so normal. So I think we need to do a lot of work in our stories. But then the media will always be the media, and those who are going to take it hook, line, and sinker will take it hook, line, and sinker. There's really nothing we can do about it. That's just the world we live in right now. Because I see a lot of comments on social media, and I'm like, the general public, the way they think is quite off. Do you understand? It's always very hard to reconcile how they're thinking and the reality of things, but to each his own. So the media can only do what the media can do at the end of the day. People will take what they want to take. I really don't think it's in our hands or in anybody's hands. But personally, individually, we can all try to do better, generally, just for the sake of our children who are, yet unborn and the little ones who are around right now.
I think also for the sake of the industry, so that we know that there are different genres, different things. I mean, people will be known to do different things. I was talking to someone about Meryl Streep the other day, and I said, when I see a Meryl Streep movie, I expect it to be serious. Although she's done some comedy and stuff like that, but I expect it to be serious, but I expect there to be range. There should be range, there should be dimensionalization, and I look at somebody like Genevieve, she's one of those people in your industry that doesn't need a second name, you just
Oh,
like,
yes.
just like she's our sister, Genevieve, we all love her, we love her, and she always acted very dimensionalized characters and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like your take on that. I know it's not 100% in your hands. You have to interpret what you have even better, day by day. But I'm glad we talked about this, because it's something that's been on my mind. I have a 16-year-old, and I don't want her to grow up thinking, oh, my mother-in-law is going to be awful, or my sisters-in-law are going to be this, or if I have only daughters, they might throw me out of the house. Those are unconscious messages that we get. When I took this up with Chris O'Day, he said that I'll be surprised that most of the biggest producers, directors, the prominent ones in Nollywood are women. And they're telling the stories. Well,
yeah.
We also promised ourselves, I told him, I said, we have to have this conversation again, because it's a journey of 1,000 miles.
Oh, yeah.
The journey of 1,000 miles.
I also need to add that you just said something about your 16-year-old daughter. I felt like that's growing up as well. I know in my teenage and early 20s, I was like, oh, wow, my mother-in-law will show up, or if she tries me, or da, 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 da. And that was because of what I had seen. My grandmother wasn't the best, to be honest. And I saw a lot of those things growing up, and I was like, I have to be wicked, or I have to do this. But one thing changed my whole perception. And I used to be a champion of men as scum. I used to be the president. And it was so weird, because I had actually never been heartbroken. Like, how they say, oh, this man did this and this man scattered this man's life. I had not experienced it. I had not experienced actual relationships before. But because of everything I had ingested and seen and put into my subconscious, I just believed that, you have to just fight. But then I saw a tweet one day from a girl. She was way younger than me when she tweeted that. She said something about, you can't be. So there was this blogger who always used to post makeup and breakup stories. And she was like, you can't want a healthy relationship and you're following this person and reading, because all his stories were, oh, my husband now left me, he now did this. So I made up my mind. This was during COVID. I told my sister, I'm like, babe, we need to unfollow this guy. These stories are beginning to enter my head too much. And I unfollowed him. And I just see the best in everything now. And it was so small, but it's such a key moment for me in my life. And I like to tell the story a lot, because you underestimate the repercussion of what you put into your mind. It is so small, but it actually works magic. If you ingest negative stuff, you would bring it back out. There's no way. So you might even meet a guy who is nice and kind, but you're just seeing evil all over. You can't help it, because that's what you put into your mind. So I really, really want to urge people, you need to ingest healthy stuff. The world is already so damaging as it is, but you can find the peace in other things. You can, you can be happy. You can have a decent relationship. It doesn't always have to be basketballs and fight and everything. You can be happy.
True.
Yes. And I haven't felt this much peace in a while. So I just avoid a lot of things. Just let it go.
I love what you said. I want to take it back to what you talked about, collecting yourself back. Because what you did, following that blogger, whoever she was that you took back your power, and I know there are many things. You said something about good relationships, good governance. We are in that space in Nigeria where we have to show certain things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That space where, in the absence of history being taught in schools, we have to be able to tell the stories so that your generation, my generation, knows some of that history.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a generation after mine that has a little bit of a clue, but they didn't live it. I lived a little bit of it, just a little bit of it, And then my daughter's generation, I have no clue at all. When I told her that there was a civil war, she said, like, really? What happened? I said I was young. I was young. I'm not way younger than you at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important. It's important, And I just want to recap a little bit of what you've said. Like, people shouldn't. For people who are just joining us now, yes, sometimes we're talking to Elma Mbadiwe Aluko, and we're talking about the actor, where the actor comes in, and she says, yeah, sometimes you get nervous when you get into a role, but turn that nervousness into adrenaline and let it work for you. Let it bring out the best from you. I mean, it's good to be a talented actor, but being an intelligent actor, a knowledgeable actor is far better. It opens up more of the horizon for you. So also says that when you inhabit these roles, you have to find a way to come back to yourself, come back to reality, and then do not live for the accolades. Otherwise, you may die from the rejection. That is what I am going to. That is my biggest take home. If anybody asks me anything, that is my biggest take home. And then you can do anything you set your mind on. Let's flip back to that nervousness, that uncertainty. You can just flip it and use that uncertainty and the nervousness and do what you need to do, and then try to guard your mind your mind. Don't get addicted to things that will bring negative stereotypes and negative behavior, Yeah. I am reading out a little bit of the media, but I can't avoid it because I love I love it. But I watch things that don't harm my mind. So let's talk about competition. Let's talk about branding. Yes. How do you brand yourself as a? I see branding. People talk about, because at heart, what I do is branding. That's what I do fundamentally, And I see branding as a way of differentiation, telling you this is who I am. It's not to just say I'm a brand. I'm a brand. I don't say I'm a brand. There's other people who say I'm a brand. But how do you build your brand? How have you built your brand, and what will you describe your brand as being?
I would say my brand is very uncontroversial, witty, fun, and all about sisterhood. So I would not be caught dead influencing something that doesn't help women, or something that's damaging or is disparaging to women, because I strongly believe that women can be so much more than we give them credit for. So I think that's basically what sums up my brand. And I really don't have energy for drama. I'm not some people pride in that being their brand, and whatever works for you, to be honest. But my brand has to be very uncontroversial. I'm not one to, like you talked about competition. I don't see any. I don't understand it. So the only thing I'm trying to be better than, the only person I'm trying to be better than is who I was yesterday. And that's what matters for me. Right now, I need to play a character that the audience can relate to more than they relate to Carmen. That's my competition. That's my focus. So I don't see anything else. I don't focus on anything else. Yeah, and I mind my business a lot.
That helps. That helps a lot.
That's my number one brand. Mind your business. If it doesn't concern me, I'm gonna be
Out of it.
keeping quiet. Yes. So.
But would you say that being intentional about your branding would help in differentiation, not in competition, but in differentiation? So when people are thinking about who's going to ask this, you pop up to the surface.
So with Nollywood or with the film industry, I don't think there's anything you can do personally. I might be wrong, but I don't think there's anything you can do personally to differentiate yourself. And I'll say why. Because in the mind of the director or the casting director, trust me, whilst that script is being read, there's somebody that comes to their mind and you have no control over it. So going for auditions all through the span of my career has taught me that you can just be yourself. You can't be anybody else. And you bagging or booking a job has nothing to do with you sometimes. There's so many variables. So many. There's the height variable. There's the skin complexion variable. There's, do you fit with the other person variable? Okay. There's the fee variable. Some producers like to even use Instagram numbers as a variable. So there's nothing you can do. And I have learned that I don't chase. It's not in my destiny to chase things. And that's why I'm not so, I'm not killing myself over Instagram, because I don't chase. There's nothing. Elma Mbadiwe is Elma Mbadiwe. There's nothing I can add to this. Do you understand? And yeah. I'm not willing to show, probably if I was willing to show my personal life on Instagram, then you say, oh, she actually has this, but I'm not willing to do that because I regard myself as a normal person who acts for a living. So being a socialite or being a celebrity is not my job. My job is to act. And I do that to the best of my ability. So with branding, you can really just be yourself, because people who try to wear on other personas, it starts to tell at the end of the day. Trust me, people can always see that, oh, okay, this one is doing too much. This one is like, can she calm down? And I really, the way I live my life, I don't have, I don't have energy. I don't have energy. I'm very against sharing my personal life, like too much of my personal life on Instagram. And I'm not going to turn into that person because my new status demands it. Because I have to be in control of my status at every point in time. So you don't have a say, unless you're the one dropping the money for the film. Then you can say, okay, I want to cast this person and that person. And if you're not, then you don't have a say. So I've turned down certain jobs because of certain things. And I've also been rejected based on other things. My height, for example, if you're trying to cast me against someone who's very tall as a romantic partner, film-wise, aesthetically, it doesn't work. There's nothing I can physically do. I'm 30. I just turned 30.
No, I said, how tall are you?
I'm 5'6".
You're 5'6". Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm not really tall, and I have a small frame.
Okay.
So casting me with someone who is way bigger than me as a romantic partner or something, just it just might not work. Do you understand? So there's nothing I can physically do to bag that job unless I want, and I'm very interested in the beauty of the work at the end of the day. Is it believable? Can you cast me as a 40-year-old woman who has 3 children? Hell no.
Well,
Yes,
unless the makeup artist is really good.
exactly. But even if she's really good, at the end of the day, my small body, there's really nothing I can do about it.
But this is me spending my young adulthood reading Vanity Fair and other things, paper magazine. I read about how people have to do certain makeup the whole day. No, it doesn't take them a whole day. Then they wear padding. I mean, like this guy, what's his name? Tyler Perry. He has to go through makeup to do those Madeira roles and things like that.
Yes. That would be a day to see in Nollywood, because we also have to consider that our industry is running against time and resources. We still have those limitations, sad as it may be. So I don't think a producer, unless the person is actually trying to achieve something, why would you cast me as a 40-year-old when Ketensha is there? Like, she's ready to go. Just put her in costume and she's ready to film. So we have those limitations. And unless there's something you're actually trying to achieve, it doesn't make financial sense. It doesn't make time sense. Because the time you're going to spend putting me in all of that, you could have shot 3 scenes, and we don't have the time. We need to go. Everybody is running in Nigeria. So I just don't chase. There's nothing you can do. Branding is great if you have a great brand, because now you can be an influencer, you can, cash out from so many other resources. But at the end of the day, it's just you. It's just you. And
branding is not being you. Branding is actually telling people who you are in a certain way. The other one is called packaging. Branding is not packaging. It's not packaging.
Yes, but a lot of people don't understand that.
Branding is not make believe. I mean, I come here, this is who I am. I could have put on a wig, but that is not who I am. I don't have hair. I had alopecia, so, and then I'm all gray. I'm sure you can see. I'm all gray there, But this is who I am, and I would say, yeah, this is my brand. I can tell you what my brand is. But speaking of brands, there's something about brand values. And I'd like to ask you, are there certain things that you value as a human being that would make you say, I will not do that kind of movie, no matter how much they're putting on the table?
Yes. A bunch of things.
Can you share 1 or 2 non-controversial ones?
It's not really that deep. I'm not willing to go nude.
Okay.
Like, never. And it does not mean that I judge people who do it. As long as it moves the story along, then I think it's necessary. But I'm just not the one for it.
Okay.
Yeah. What else? That has to be it. Yeah.
And if you had to add weight for a particular role,
I have no problem with that.
You don't look like you can add weight.
Actually can, but it will not be, I don't think I can be obese. But they have nutritionists that can help you achieve these things. But I have no problem losing weight or putting on weight for a character. Okay. I had to actually lose about 3 to 4 kg for Carmen. So, because I needed to be that, skinny high school girl. Yeah, so I have no problem putting on weight or modifying my body for a role. But I just won't take off my clothes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any movie that you wish you could have been part of? It doesn't have to be a Nollywood movie, it could be from anywhere. Like you look at that movie, like that is the kind of role I would love to play.
Have you seen Gia by Angelina Jolie?
No.
So yeah, something like that. She was a model. She got into bad company. She had HIV. She died at the end. It was such a, roller coaster. I really liked that. And when I saw it, I felt like, wow, if I got a script like this, it would excite me. So I don't wish that I was in the project. I just draw inspiration from it and hope that the universe can, put me in the right place to do something like that. Yeah.
And is there any actor, living or dead, Nigerian, continental, global, that you'd love to work with? Anyone?
What? Yeah. We're not going to end.
No, I can tell you my own straight up. I don't want to work with him, but Idris Elba.
Really?
I don't know. Each one to his own,
I know. My president, Genevieve Naji, like, I don't know, man. I think, okay, when I eventually star in a film with her, it's going to be on my bio on Instagram for like 3 months. So I've always been in love with her. Viola Davis is another person. I love Viola. Love. And I just know that even being in the same, they say don't meet your stars, but I feel like these people, being in the same environment with them will be a learning experience, aside even starring in the film. So Viola and Genevieve, yes, definitely. I hope God makes it happen.
Those are two greats. Yeah. I would throw in Angelina Jolie just because she's I find her intriguing. She goes to that dark part of our lives that's many of us don't want to admit that we do have that part. Yeah. So as we're rounding up now, sorry, you were going to say something.
I just said very interesting women.
Yes, very, very. As we round up, I have 2 questions I'd like to ask. What are some of the things that people will be surprised to learn about actors or the film industry? Some things that they don't see on screen.
The Nigerian film industry is tougher than it looks. There's so much intertwining. There's so much. There's just so much. It is way more difficult than it appears. And actors are human beings. People don't realize that. Genevieve is a human being first.
Yes.
She's a mother, she's a sister, she's a daughter, she's a friend. And human beings have their own struggles. Every human being. She's not, I don't know what her name was in Lionheart, but she's not that person. I'm not Carmen. It looks glamorous, but I was in the market yesterday. And someone was shouting, but guess what? I still have to feed my family. And if my housekeeper is not around, I will go to the market. It's really not a big deal for me. We are human beings at the very core. No matter what we show on Instagram, no matter what, we're dealing with stuff. We're trying to be happy. We're chasing happiness. And I wish people understood that. Because some comments you see on Instagram just break my heart. Because this person is going through life.
Yeah.
And you are demanding so much of them because they do a job that puts you in their face. It's rather unfair. I just wish you could be kinder to everybody. So, yeah. And Nollywood is hard.
It is hard. It is hard. But I'll tell you, I'm sorry, it's the nature of the beast. It's the nature of...
I'm aware.
Yeah. Once you put yourself out there, it takes a lot of guts to put yourself out, because you're judged on a daily, on a regular.
Yeah.
You're judged, and when you don't entertain us, we forget. We forget. We
I know
forget.
that.
So I take your point about we should be kinder. We should be more considerate.
Yeah.
More considerate. And if somebody doesn't want to talk about what's going on in their life, we should respect that. We should be respectful of that. Yeah. So I said 2 more questions, but I have one more. I have
It's
one question. So what advice would you give to aspiring actors?
I'm very passionate about this. And I talk about it all the time on Instagram. First things first, we need to ask why. Why do you want to do this? That's the first question. The second question should be, do I actually have the talent for this? How much work do I need to do? Do I need to work on this talent of mine? Because delusion is one hell of a drug. And you might be thinking in your mirror, whatever you're doing in your mirre.
No, you're giving me nuggets back to back. Delusion is a drug. My goodness.
Very honest,
I love it.
you actually, it's so sad to say, and I'm not trying to discourage anybody, but I think if you have that talent, you would know. Another thing is, you need to get training. There's no way around it. Only very few actors have been able to make a name for themselves without training. And that's because Nigeria, a lot of things are self-taught. Most of the stars in Hollywood had training. Either personal trainers, they went to school, acting coaches, but you need to get training. It's very important. Number 4 is you need to show your workings. You can't just be DMing me and saying, oh, help me, I want to be an actor. I get those DMs and emails every day. But I go to your page because I actually want to support you. I go to your page and I don't see anything I can support. If you've done a short film, even as little as recording it with your phone, and it makes sense, I will post it on my story. That's the much I can do. Because I'm not a producer. I'm an actor. Trust me and you are looking for work. And you are only as good as your last job.
Yes.
So when you DM actors to help you, unless you're DMing like the Omoni Obolis and the Genevieves who have, transcended to other things, DMing comment to help you be an actor is not feasible. I don't see how I can actually help you aside from give you advice. And I'm giving you advice based on what has worked for me. I went for training. I attended countless auditions. Ma'am, you don't want to know how many auditions I've been to. Sometimes you get to the audition venue as early as 4:30. God bless those days because they really made me disciplined. So I don't go to set late because I'm used to early mornings. But a lot of people are not ready for that. That's the problem. So you're DMing me. What do you want me to do? Call you and hand you over to a director to say, oh, okay, put this person in a film. We are used to being spoon-fed, but you have to actually do the work. A lot of people that we talk about now, the Kikis and the Mr. Debo, Mr. Macaroni, he started on his own. And now the industry is searching for him. Yes, he started doing the work. You have to start with something. You can't go to God with empty hands and say, oh, bless the works of my hands. There is nothing to bless. There's nothing to bless. But people don't want. So every time I see those DMs and emails, they actually infuriate me. Because I've gone to your page, trust me, and there's nothing there. There's not even actor in your bio. How do I take you seriously? So it starts as little as doing a monologue. Go to Google. What is a monologue? How can I get auditions? Follow the necessary pages. Don't just get carried away with, oh my God, look at the way Carmen is dressed. Look at the way this girl is dressed. No, the work doesn't start from there. That's the finished product. I had to audition for Far From Home 7 times. And I was not an upcomer. And we need to actually discard this upcomer mentality, because if you finish law school and you pass your exam, you're a lawyer.
You're a lawyer.
There's nothing called upcoming lawyer. So there's no upcoming actor.
Oh, yeah,
If
you're
you
young
have
lawyer.
the talent,
Young lawyer.
no, what they can call you a young actor, but
Yeah.
upcoming actor is a statement that I find very offensive. And that's it starts to fester in your mind.